go live here.
Go live.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, that's our live.
Okay, I am hoping we are going live. Yep, that looks like we may have gone live, and good evening. I'm just trying to get myself together here. I guess as kind of normal, we've had a few technical hitches in the last couple of minutes. But hopefully everything's good. I see we've got about 7 viewers online currently. If you guys can let me know, particularly if we have any audio problems, that would be great. And also if you want to say hi and announce your name and everything, that would be fantastic because we're monitoring the chat. So my name is Gary Hawkins, and tonight the plan is to look at the new sequencer that's available within the SharpCap tool, and we're also going to do some imaging at the same time. I'm joined this evening by my daughter Joy, who is the youngest member of the San Diego, I think the youngest member of the San Diego Astronomy Association, and she's joining me here tonight. So Joy, why don't you say hi to everybody?
Hi everybody, and I'm almost 6.
Are you almost 6? That's absolutely incredible. And would you like to wish everybody a happy new year?
And I'll wish you a happy new year too.
Okay, fantastic. And so you got your Santa hat on there. Was that a present? You don't need to touch your microphone, sweetie. Just there you go. It's perfectly loud. Was that a present?
No, it was just from last year. When I was a baby.
When you were a baby? Okay, fine. Okay, well, Joy's going to be joining us for the evening here. Do you want to just... And as you can see, we're kind of nice and warm here. We've got our little heater behind us, and we also have a fan heater in front of us as well. So I will now go back to the slide deck and sort of do a formal introduction. And I see we've got 8 people online. Nobody's hit the chat window yet, so it would be fantastic to know that the stream is coming out okay. It says the stream is healthy here, but you're never too sure until somebody actually tries the chat. Yes, you're absolutely right, Joy. Okay, fine. So we are located in Scripps Ranch, just north of the city of San Diego, under Bortle 8 skies, which is, in fact, we're in the backyard, as you probably guessed from the video a few moments ago. Conditions this evening are pretty good, although it is kind of damp, and we are a little concerned that we might get some clouds, aren't we? Okay, put your microphone, that's right, don't touch your microphone, sweetie. It's perfectly okay where it is, okay?
Why does it spin?
It doesn't spin, just...
It goes up and down.
Only if you move it. Okay,
why?
So you... Because it does. You leave it there.
Okay.
All right. And this is tonight's EAA equipment. We are using the main part of the equipment is a Celestron C8 Schmidt-Cassegrain telescope. That has a 0.63 focal reducer behind it, and behind that there is a 9 megapixel ZWO camera. And in the optical chain we have a CCD CSL filter to help knock down some of the light pollution here. We also have a guide scope attached to the Schmidt-Cassegrain tonight, which is the thing that's been giving me issues. For some reason I can't get it to calibrate this evening, which is interesting, so that may cause us to change the way that we're collecting images. I also have a tail rad on the Schmidt-Cassegrain. I use this for initial pointing. I find it a really good tool, by far the best way of finding stars with the hand controller. And this is all mounted on a EQ6R equatorial mount, a Skywatcher mount, which is directly connected to the PC via a USB cable. And one of the really nice things about this mount, compared to my old mount, which was the AVX, is the fact that the hand controller still works when the mount is under computer control, and that makes everything a lot easier. Okay, so that's the hardware setup. This is a complete list of the software that I'm using this evening, along with the hardware. SharpCap Pro, I'm using Cart to Seal for a star map, ASCOM drivers to sort of glue everything together. I am using PhD2 guiding, assuming I can get that to work in a minute. And anyway, the rest is there. I've got a field of view of about 0.5 degrees with this particular setup. I'm sure many of you on the stream are familiar with SharpCap. It's kind of the de facto image processing software that is being used for EAA work today. And simply what we're doing is collecting images, stacking those, well, actually we're applying both a flat and a dark to those images to do some basic correction for hot pixels within the camera and vignetting across the face of the camera. And then we're doing alignment and stacking, and then some final post-processing. Yes, and if you go, they can actually hear that on the stream, so no making little noises, okay, little one, because I'm going to give you a chance to chat in a minute. And the other thing that we've got running on the stream tonight, which is the first time I've tried this, is I do actually have a music track running quietly in the background. Please, again, let me know if you like that or don't like it. Although I must say, at the moment, oh, okay, so it's interesting here. I'm getting an error message here saying that YouTube is currently not receiving data for the stream, but I'm obviously streaming. So the question is, I'm seeing nothing on chat. So if anybody is typing on the chat window, the reason I'm not responding is because I'm not seeing anything. Again, if somebody's got the capability to say hi on the chat window, that would be fantastic, because it would just give me some reassurance that everything is working okay here. Right. So the main purpose of tonight's presentation is to do a brief introduction of the sequencer within SharpCap. And Robin Glover, who is the developer of SharpCap, has recently put out this new feature in the 3.3 beta, which is currently available for download if you like to debug equipment and try new things out before they become official. And I'm currently running the SharpCap 3.3 on my PC. And Robin basically said recently that this is probably the biggest new feature that's been added to SharpCap in quite some while, although they have recently added feature tracking as well, which if you don't know about, I'm happy to discuss at some point. And for those of you that are familiar with perhaps programming with your kids or with your grandkids, these new Lego type computer robot things that the kids like to do these competitions with, they use this programming language, which is not really a programming language or a script, but basically it's like a building block, and you put together these building blocks to create overall functionality. And that's pretty much what this sequencer is. It's a way of putting together a sequence of commands that allow SharpCap then to do something bigger. And Robin's gone on to say, I suspect that the sequencer design tool may be too complicated for many users. I have an idea for creating an even simpler tool that we might end up with called the sequencing wizard. And that would take you even one step higher in sort of abstraction away from the programming language in order to do certain things within SharpCap. So it's a sequencer that we're going to be kind of looking at tonight. So darling, you can actually help me here. Can you switch off my telescope mount? Do you know where that?
Okay.
Okay, just walk across to the mount. You see the black button above the red one? There you go. Thank you. So my daughter has just switched off my mount for me, because what I'm going to do in a few moments is actually run you through the 3 different sequences that I've developed for my EAA setup here, and one of those is the startup sequence. So let me just close everything down on my PC. And I think that was probably my last slide in terms of the formal presentation. So yes it is. So I am going to check the chat window, and there's still nothing on the chat window here, guys. Let me check something. Am I allowing chat? Enable live chat. Okay, so my live chat is enabled. Okay. Right, so I'm now going to transition over to my desktop. And this is my current desktop. The only things that I've got running, as you can see, are a web browser, which is shown up here, and OBS Studio, which is what I use for the live broadcasting, and Windows Media Player, which is what's actually providing the background music currently. Okay, so, and everything's off. SharpCap is closed down, none of my other programs are running, etc, etc. So normally what I would have to do if I was doing this, as Joy will tell you, is that I've got to start up lots of individual programs and muck around and do some things and stuff like that, haven't I? And it takes a little while, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And sometimes it goes wrong, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And then Daddy gets frustrated, particularly if he's doing a live stream, doesn't he?
Yes.
Okay, well, hopefully that's not going to be the case. So what I'm going to do, as you can see, is I'm going to go over to SharpCap and I'm going to start SharpCap up.
Daddy?
Yes?
Do you need me to turn the mount back on?
I will in a moment. That is a great question, and if we watch what's going to happen in a few moments, right, the program's actually going to tell us to do that from within the sequencer.
So will it just turn on by itself?
No, not yet. No, it won't turn on by itself. You're actually going to have to push the button when it asks you. Do you think you can do that for me and help out? Fantastic. Right, so as you can see, we're using the beta version of SharpCap here. This is 3.3. It is available for download if you would like to test out this beta version. It seems pretty stable from my perspective, so I don't think... Was that a big yawn? That big yawn came out on the audio stream. I saw it. Yeah? Clever. You got to be so careful when you got a microphone on, Joy. Okay? Yeah. All right. So, as I was saying, this is the beta version 3.3, which is available for download on the SharpCap website. You do have to look for it a little bit harder than the regular official versions, but it is there. Just search for beta 3.3 and you'll find it. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, rather than beginning to start everything up manually as I'm probably used to, I am now going to go into the sequencer, which is at the top, on the top toolbar here, and is something that you only see in the beta version. It's not in 3.2 currently. And I'm going to click on the sequencer, and I'm going to run recent, and I'm going to go EAA startup, and it saves these files called SCS files, which are sequencer files. So as soon as I do that, two things happen. First of all, the SharpCap Sequencer progress box comes up to tell me what's happening, and secondly, I get a whole series of prompts which are going to appear in this area here that show me what to do. So the first one, and I just got, did I not get a text there? Okay. The first thing I've got this sequence set up to do is ask me if the Wi-Fi is connected, which I know it is, but obviously if you were starting up from scratch, particularly if you're in the field and you wanted Wi-Fi connection, that was a good question to ask. So if we look down here, is the Wi-Fi connected or not, Joy?
Where?
Right here on the screen on my laptop. Can you see the Wi-Fi connected?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to press OK. And then it asks me if the PC time is correct, which it is, so I'm going to press OK. And then it's going to ask me to switch the mount on. Do you think you can switch the mount on, young helper? Okay, so Joy is just moving over to the mount. No, Joy, that's right, just there you go, good girl. And she has switched the mount on for me. The next two things are really associated with my EQ6R. One of the strange things about the EQ6R is that it doesn't always assign the same COM port, and so you often have to go look at what the COM port is and then adjust the COM port setting in the toolbox. I know this evening it should be okay, so I'm just going to click OK to that question and OK to that question. And then the next thing that happens is the sequencer starts up cart to seal. And you can see cart to seal has now started up on my desktop. I'm just going to bring it round to my field of view. And you may not have seen, in fact, we can probably, there you go. It says connect cart to seal to telescope, unpark mount, initiate tracking, press OK to continue. So let's go into cart to seal. I need to connect the telescope to the mount, which I do there. This would normally be in the unpark position, so I would then click unpark. I would then click tracking, and as you can now see, cart to seal is connected to my mount through EQ mod, which is going through the ASCOM driver set. So everything's good now. Cart to seal is now connected, so I can just basically close these down.
Dad?
Yes, sweetie.
I need to go inside to get something to eat.
Oh, okay. So my little Santa helper here is going to step away for a second. I'll try not to make too many rattles with her headphone there. And are you thinking of coming back out? Okay. So cart to seal is now connected, and I'm going to press OK. Now it's going to ask me to go back into cart to seal and check to see if my observatory and lat longs and everything are correct. I know they are, so I'm going to press OK. Then it's going to ask me to update the various databases that cart to seal uses for rapidly moving objects, such as comets, asteroids, and satellites. Since we're not looking at any of those this evening, I am going to go OK. And now it's going to go in and immediately open up PhD2 guiding. And again, since if we go back to here, it says check correct guide scope goes get me tripping over my own words here. Check correct guide scopes selected, and what it should say as well is, oh, it does say, it says connect PhD to the mount. So if we go back into PhD, I'm going to click this button down here, which if you're familiar with PhD is the connect button. You can see my equipment here, and I'm going to connect that. And the equipment has connected. Okay. So, oh, and my little Oh, okay. My little helper's back here with no hat and snack bars. Okay, right. So you sit down, sweet pie.
I just want to stand.
Oh, you want to stand? Okay. All right. Okay. Now, I'll tell you what I'm gonna do, sweetie, while you're eating that snack bar, because everybody else doesn't want to hear you eating that snack bar, I am gonna turn your microphone off, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, so I've turned my little helper's microphone off there. And if we go back to our main screen now, you'll see that PhD 2 is running. And we can go even further and we can switch on the looping just to see that I'm actually getting a picture coming in through my guide camera, which I am, albeit that it kind of looks like we're either pointing at some trees or doing something here. Something is not quite right with that guide camera, but we'll figure that one out in a minute. Okay, so we've got PhD running. Probably, thank you. So I can press OK here. Now the sequencer is going to open up my camera, my main imaging camera, and it's going to load the profile that I have set up called 553 MC DSO, which is the primary profile I use for this. And you'll see that it's loaded the color space and capture area and the binning and the exposure time and the gain and a boatload of things like that. Although you will see at the moment that neither the dark frame or flat frames have been loaded, but we'll get to that currently. And basically that is my startup sequence has now completed. If I look at my SharpCap sequence progress window, I can see that I'm completely finished here. Okay, so my young daughter. Okay, your mic is on, sweetie. Do you have something you want to add at this point?
I think I have something to say.
What do you have to say?
My daddy is an astronomer and he's learning about the stars, and everything he learns is something new about him.
Okay, thank you for that, sweetie. Good girl. All right, so, and certainly the sequencing is all very new. The sequencer has only been available in the beta format now for about a week, and I would imagine that I'm one of the early users of the sequencer. It's certainly not complete. There are some bugs in it, and there's certainly a lot of work that I think that Robin's going to be doing over the next coming months. But generally speaking, it's pretty good. So you've seen the sequencer operating for my startup here. So let's actually look at the sequence that I put together in order to do that. And we can do that by clicking Edit, and that will bring up this the editor. This is the SharpCap Sequence Editor. And basically within the SharpCap Sequence Editor are a number of steps under each of a series of categories. So for the camera, for instance, we can capture a certain number of frames, close the camera, load the camera profile, open the camera. For the mount, we can connect to the mount, disconnect to the mount, move to a azimuth position, move to a lat long position, etc., etc. Park the mount. For the miscellaneous, we can connect all hardware devices. We can run a program. As you saw earlier, I used the run program statement. In fact, it's this one here to start up cart to seal. I also use the run program statement to start up PhD guiding. And so you've got these whole series of building blocks that you can then form into a sequence. And in order to put a building block into a sequence, you simply click on the building block and move it into the sequence. So I've moved it there. And I can actually, if I want to then, if I decide that's in the wrong place, I can re-click on that and I can move that to a different position in the sequence. And so you just put things together in a very simplistic building block type fashion with these high level commands that are over here. And essentially what's happening behind the scenes is that these sequence commands are then being turned into script, and it's that script which is being used, presumably Python scripting, that's being used to control everything. So this is my sequence for startup, and I'm not sure if you saw at the very end, but the last part of that sequence was a notification that came up on top of the SharpCap screen that basically said you're ready to go onto the next stage. Do some focusing, do your polar alignment, do some imaging, etc., etc. Okay, so that is the startup script, and you can obviously save scripts, reload new scripts, you can test steps, etc., etc. Right, so now one thing I will say is the way that this has currently been set up is that once a script is running, the UI, so the user interface for SharpCap, is disabled. So everything that you do in the script has to be such that you don't need to change anything in the UI because you can't. And Robin's done that for a particular reason. Some people have said they don't like that straight off the bat. I initially thought the same thing, but there are some actually very good reasons for doing that. So I've just gone with that currently and put my scripts together with that thought in mind. Okay, so I'm going to close this down. I'm going to close this down, and I am hoping that everything's all good to go here. So the next thing that we're going to do now is we are going to look at my next script, which is my imaging script. And typically what I would do, and in fact I did before everybody came online, was that I made sure that my telescope was focused and stuff. The polar alignment I didn't do because I was expecting my guiding to be working, but that seems to be causing me a problem at the moment. But we'll worry about that shortly. And basically I'm now ready to image. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into my image sequencer, and in order to do that I'm going to go sequence, run recent, image target, and it's going to start up the second sequence. So what do you think of this language, Joy? I know you haven't got like a robot yet, but if you've looked at the language, right? It's kind of simple, isn't it? Oh, you've taken your headset off, sweetie.
To get the tea.
Oh, okay.
Got some water to go.
Okay.
Yeah, the words are simple. And easy to read, but I think it's nice to read and learn.
Do you think it would be simple to write a little set of sequences? Or a bit beyond you at the moment, right?
I think it's a little on 7-year-olds or 8-year-olds.
And how old are you?
5.
You're just 5 at the moment, right?
And next,
and you'll be 6 in a couple of weeks, won't you?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay.
Couple of days, actually.
Couple of days. Okay. Right. So,
Can I get the tea?
Yeah, you can go sit down. Watch. That's right. Just be careful. All right. Okay, so my little one there, you've got to keep her engaged. I'm trying to get her as actively involved in astronomy as possible. So it's kind of, and this is the first time she's actually done a live stream with me, so it's kind of fun, or at least the first time she's done it from the beginning. Anyway, going back to my imaging script. So the first thing my imaging script does is it asks me, have I saved the previous image? So since we don't have a previous image, we can just go okay. And then it basically says move mount to target with CDC, press OK to continue. So I go into CDC, I locate a target, and I am just hoping, yes, we should be able to see. Orion is just coming up over my neighbor's roof, so I am going to type in M42, and I am going to ask the mount to track to M42. And nothing happened. That was interesting. What happened there? All right. Okay, so we're still active, I think, there. Something went wrong. And now I've got to try and figure out what went wrong. Okay, I'm connected to my mount. It's weird. All right, let me try again. Okay, let me first of all do M42 and perhaps hit return. That will help. Okay, so now I've selected my target M42. If I go up and click my slew button now, my mount is slewing. Breathes a sigh of relief. Okay, so my mount is now slewing across to my target, and you can see the square box moving across, and it's got quite a way to move on this first slew, so we're just going to let it get over to M42. We've now landed on M42, so now I go back into SharpCap again. It says move mount. Okay, so I've done that, and now it loads the camera profile that I'm going to use for plate solving to make sure that my target is precisely where I want it. And in order to make sure that everything is settled down, I do a mandatory countdown that I can't skip over. So basically, it waits for 15 seconds, and then it automatically starts the plate solver, which you can see happening at the top of the screen here. And with any luck, it has done its plate solve, which you can see here. The mount, can you sit down, sweetie? Thank you. The mount is in error by 1.07 degrees, and the mount has been recentered. And in order to allow the mount to settle down again, I go through a mandatory countdown of 15 seconds. So the mount is now pointing at M42, and M42 should be in the center of the target since we did a successful plate solve. And in fact, you can see through the image that's just come up on the screen, you can see it underneath there. Let's see if I cannot move the SharpCap Sequencer process window at the moment. That's one of the sort of annoying little things about this at the moment. But you can see that I've landed on M42 probably there. Now at this point, what I would hope to do is switch guiding on because I was going to image at 30-second subs this evening, but unfortunately I can't guarantee that my guider is going to work at the moment. So what I'm going to do for the time being is I'm going to, well, let me give it a try. I mean, it's either going to work or it's going to fail. So let's see if I can get the guider to work. So I am going to select stars. Now, for those of you who are familiar with PhD 2, one of the new things in PhD 2 is multi-star guiding, and I've got multi-star guiding enabled. And typically people are finding that the multi-star guiding within PhD 2 is about 30% more accurate than single-star guiding. Now, for obvious reasons, really. If you're looking at multiple stars, then the seeing and the variation of the seeing is being spread across multiple stars, just intuitively thinking the guiding is going to be better. All right, so we've initiated our guiding. We're going to try and guide. Now, I don't know whether this is going to guide or not. So let's just see what happens. If it guides, great. If it doesn't, we will we will turn the guiding off. Oh, okay, that looks promising. Let's hope. Okay, so I'm just waiting for this guiding to settle down. Okay, so that looks like we might actually get to guide here. We're certainly, yeah, that's looking pretty good. Right, so I'm now going to go back to SharpCap and, yes, sweetie. Okay, so my daughter has asked me to switch her mic back on. So, yep, your mic is on, sweetie. And who have you got with you now, just watching what's going on out here with us?
So, my guinea pig, we used to have 3, 2 died, and 1's still alive, and probably gonna make it to my 6th birthday, a couple weeks.
Okay, good job. So Joy has brought her guinea pig out to also help with the astronomy this evening. So I'm going to switch your mic back off, okay?
Why?
Oh, okay, well I'll leave your mic on then. All right. All right, so your mic is still on. Right, so PhD guiding has started, and I am going to obviously acknowledge the fact that the guiding has started. And basically that is the end of my imaging script. Imaging sequence has now run through. And again, if I go into the SharpCap sequence editor, you will see that there are multiple steps that I've defined within the sequence editor. And so we'll just basically run through these quickly. So this is the first prompt. Have you saved the previous image? Then it resets and stops live stacking just in case it was going. It asks me to go to CDC and select a target. It then reloads my camera profile, opens the camera and reloads the profile. And you may ask, why am I doing that? Because obviously the camera profile is already loaded. Well, just in case you've changed anything as you went through the last imaging session, and since all of this is automatic, it really doesn't cost you anything to reload everything and start from an exact known baseline. So I reload my camera profile, I reload my darks and flats, because again, it's possible, and I've done this in the past, managed to continue imaging. For some reason, one of them got deleted and then carried on. I then set my exposure for 10 seconds and my gain for 550. I wait for the mount to settle. I plate solve. Once I've plate solved, I set my exposure for 30 seconds and my gain for 400, which is my imaging setup. I then do a mandatory countdown to let the mount settle again. I then prompt to start PhD guiding. Once I'm happy with guiding, I click OK, and that basically that takes me to the notification at the end, which tells me to type in my target name and click live stack. So I'm going to do just that. I'm going to type in M42, and I'm going to hit live stack. And so now we are starting an imaging sequence. My profile is exactly as I was expecting. It's 30-second subs, 400 gain. My darks and flats have been applied here and here. Everything as I'm expecting is where it should be to start off. And I believe because I reloaded my camera profile, this probably reset as well, which is important because sometimes if you do a display stretch and then forget to reset this, it can cause you problems for later images. So I believe this has been reset as well. And I am now collecting subs. And so if we look at our subs being collected now, you can see that the first one is stacked. And I am actually, while we're sort of waiting for some subs to get collected here, my subs are being aligned and they are being stacked as long as guiding is functional and working. So you can see that I've got in my settings for guiding, I've got monitor PhD to guiding, and as long as everything's guiding okay, and we can now look at how our guiding's doing. doing pretty well over here. We will now just continue to stack subs until I tell it to stop. So, and my daughter is looking very cute here. She has her guinea pig stuffed down the front of her ski suit. And she's sitting by the nice warm fire here, so everything's all cool. Or it will be until the guinea pig decides to relieve itself. Anyway, such is life. So we are now we've now stacked our third image of M42 for actually we've stacked our fourth image for 2 minutes of imaging. And let's just go into the histogram. And now we can obviously start to start processing this image using the histogram controls, etc., etc. Now, one of the things that I would have liked to have done in my sequence was to do the plate solve, which would move the target that I'm looking for straight into the center of the image, and then manually frame the position of the target so that it better suits the area that I've got available for imaging. So in this case, I probably would have moved this down in this direction so that this appeared down here and I could catch a little bit more of the nebulosity in this area here. Unfortunately, as I said earlier, one of the implementation features of this is that the UI is closed down once the sequence is running. And so since I haven't finished the sequence after the plate solve, I'm still running through the sequence, the UI is frozen, and therefore I can't go down to my telescope controls and do a manual correction of the position of the image. So that's one of the disadvantages of freezing the UI. But there are some advantages of freezing the UI, which come down to primarily safety, because if you're in the middle of a sequence and then you start mucking around with the UI and start doing things that are detrimental to the sequence, all sorts of things could potentially go wrong. So that's the reason that Robin has initially frozen the UI. Anyway, there's a couple of ways of getting around that problem. One, I could have gone into EQ mod, and in fact actually that's worth remembering, I can simply go into EQ mod and do a manual reposition using the EQ mod controls, because these have obviously not been frozen. So that's one way of overcoming the problem. The other way of overcoming the problem would have been to have gone back into cart to seal and maybe made a little adjustment in the position of the scope from cart to seal. So there are ways of overcoming the problem, but anyway, you can't do it as I would normally do it within SharpCap. So anyway, there's our image forming. We've now been running for about just under 5 minutes. We've got a really nice image of M42. I'll do a few final adjustments here so that I could feel comfortable that I want to save this image. It's probably about the right place to be. So I will now go ahead and save that image. And you can see SharpCap now saves that image and I've stored it away. Right, so now I'm done with M42, so let's go pick another target. And since we're close to the Flame Nebula, let's go and do that one. So I go back into my sequencer, I go to Run Recent and Image Target, and the sequencer starts running me through the exact same process over again. my daughter, the guinea pig, are obviously having fun here in the fire. So have I saved my previous image? Yes. Okay. Move the mount to target with CDC. So I go over here. I'm going to zoom in here because I'm going to do this manually. I'm going to move to the Flame Nebula, which is going to be over here. So let me see if I can, there we go. Let's see if I can get a target here. Here we go. I got the Flame Nebula. I'm going to click on that point there. So I'm now going to slew the scope. So my scope is now moving. Now I think you can probably hear, yes you can hear the bing, bing, bing going. That is basically PhD telling me that it's lost guidings, which is obvious because we've just done a slew. So I'll switch that off. I will now acknowledge the fact that I've moved the scope to the right place. And the way my sequence is set up now is that my camera profile and everything gets loaded, and I will now have to wait a mandatory 15 seconds in order for the mount to be sure that it's stabilized in the right position. And now we're going to do a plate solve. So the plate solver is working. Hopefully it will solve. And even if the plate solver doesn't solve, which it has done, that's fine. It just comes up with an error message in SharpCap and moves on to the next step. Again, the mount has moved, so I'm now just allowing some time to make sure the mount is stable before I start imaging. It asked me to go over to PhD guiding. I'm going to start my loop. I'm going to select my stars. I'm going to start guiding. And I'm going to clear all of this down so that I can see how successful my guiding is or is not. And let's see if the guiding starts up correctly. So one of the things I would have liked to have done was to initiate guiding from the sequence. Unfortunately, that's not possible at the moment because Robin doesn't have a block in there to go do that. But having said that, even if you initiate guiding from the sequence, you still need to go into PhD to make sure that the guiding is actually engaged properly and that the guiding graph looks reasonable. And you can see, even though I'm guiding a lot, you can see there's quite a few pulses coming through here. My guiding RMS in terms of pixels is relatively small. And for the 50mm guide scope and the 244 sensor that is behind that guide scope, that RMS error of about 0.16 pixel corresponds to about 1 arc second. So my guiding accuracy is about 1 arc second, which is more than adequate for doing EAA. So if I now go back over to SharpCap, I can acknowledge the fact that my guiding has correctly started. I can I'll type in flame because I can't remember what the NGC number is for the Flame Nebula, and I will start my live stack again. And again, if you look back through the parameters over here, everything all right? Okay. If you look back through the parameters over here, you will see that everything is set up with all the right parameters that I need. The exposure is correct, the gain is correct, the dark frames, the flat frames are there. Everything is there that I need, and so consequently, I can be sure that each time I do an imaging run, I'm using exactly the same parameters each time. And this is one of the real advantages of doing the sequencing rather than doing everything either from memory or from perhaps using a spreadsheet and following down through a spreadsheet. So as you can see, it looks like I probably selected this star to guide to position the mount on, which was slightly off of the Flame Nebula. But again, I think you see that we've moved to the target, and we've been able to start to acquire our subs. We've got about 90 seconds worth of subs so far on the Flame Nebula, and we're beginning to develop a reasonable image, which over time will develop even further. Now, I'm sure some of you are going to ask, why am I using guiding? Because typically most EAA streams are done without guiding, usually because the subs are in the sort of 5 to 10 second range. And if I'm correctly polar aligned and everything with this EQ6R mount, I can easily do 5, 10, possibly even 15 second subs with my SCT and get pretty round stars. But I've been doing a few experiments, and I've found that by using longer subs in the sort of 30 seconds to a minute range, I'm actually getting better quality images. And since PhD2 guiding is generally really easy to use, and it's easy to initiate, why not use it if the tool's available? So I have been using guiding recently and increasing my sub times. Now, I tend to find that a minute sub is maybe a little bit too long for the audience, although, you know, I've had various feedback on it. So tonight I'm actually using 30-second subs, but I could easily go up to 2-minute subs. In fact, probably indefinite length subs if I wanted to, because my guiding error, which isn't quite as good as it normally is tonight, is still only just about RMS, about 1.5 arc seconds or something. And the reason I'm probably getting so much fluctuation tonight in terms of my guiding is, one, I just put my mount down without really I put my mount down without really setting up any sort of polar alignment or so forth and so on, and I set my polar alignment. I didn't set my polar alignment up properly because I knew I was going to use guiding. So it does save you from doing some setup work, and it does allow you to do a lot longer imaging runs. So anyway, that's the reason I'm using guiding, and albeit that the performance tonight is nowhere near as good as it was a couple of evenings ago, I'm still getting some pretty good images. So if I go back to my picture of the Flame Nebula here, and here's the Flame Nebula, which is developing quite nicely. Let's just go back into our live stack. Not too sure why. Here we go. No. Yeah, here we go. Let's see if I can just do a color balance on that. Let's just bring that in a little bit. It's not too bad. It's a little noisy, but it's not too bad. We've done about 4.5 minutes of imaging. Could probably move that across there a little bit. Here we go. It's not too bad. And so, as you can see, this is my image of the Flame Nebula, which would have been better framed. I probably should have gone into EQ mod and just moved my, again, the position around a little bit based on that first image that came up. Okay, so that's our second image for the evening. So let's just go and do the horsehead, and again, just run through the sequence in order to go do that. So again, I go up to my sequencer, I bring up my image target sequence. Have you saved the previous image? Now, unfortunately, I haven't saved the previous image, and I've just noticed again one of the disadvantages here of having the UI of SharpCap locked by going into the sequence. I can't actually save the image because the UI is locked. If I try and click on it, as you can see, the UI is not responding. So the only way to save that image now, and I can't actually even save the image because again, this is I think one of the bugs that Robin's still working on, is I should be able to press the stop button here and get the sequence to stop. But unfortunately, that functionality doesn't always seem to work. So that will be some feedback I'll be giving Robin tomorrow. But anyway, let's pretend that we had saved the image. We just continue on, and it now asks us to go to CDC and select our target. So we're going to go and look for the horsehead, and the horsehead is right down here. And I should have it. There we go. B33 is the horsehead. So I'm going to ask my mount to slew. As soon as I ask my mount to slew, my guiding should have stopped. Yes, the guiding stopped immediately this time because it picked up the fact that the telescope was slowing. So I've moved my mount. It's now going to load up my camera profile so that I start from a known position, and it's going to make me wait a mandatory 15 seconds. And I am not sure what happened to the YouTube chat here. I can't believe that nobody is chatting. So there must be something that is set up incorrectly in the YouTube stream that is not allowing me to see the chats. So apologies for that. In the meantime, while I'm looking at that, my script is continuing to run. My plate solver has worked out that I'm about 0.7 degrees off. It's moved the mount, and it's now asking me to start guiding. So I am going to start looping. As soon as I've got my loop going here, I'm going to select my guide stars, and I'm going to start guiding. And now I'm just going to clear everything so that I can see how the guiding's doing. See if it starts up. And you just see what happens here. I'm not sure this is no, so actually it looks like it's failed to start guiding. So I am going to restart my looping, reselect my targets, start my guiding again, and let's see if it works this time. Yes, it looks like this time the guiding started correctly. And this is one of the problems of initiating the guiding from within the sequence and then assuming the guiding is going to work, because sometimes it obviously doesn't, as you just saw. So irrespective of whether you could do that or not, you still really need to go into the guiding software PhD2 in order to make sure that the guiding has started properly, which it has now. So I'm just going to clear those things down so that I can get some good statistics. I'm going to go back into SharpCap. I'm going to tell it that I've done my guiding, and it's now going to ask me to type the name of my target. So I've actually finished my sequence again. I'm going to type my target, and I'm going to start my live stack. The connection to PhD was done. You'll see the first image come through in a second. And there we have our first image of the Horsehead Nebula. And this time, as you can see, the targets come up right in the center, which is kind of nice. And it's also framed nicely with the nebulosity that sits off to the star in the bottom left-hand corner. So we'll just start collecting some images on that. Now, while we're doing that, I'm just gonna text my friend Dave here from the San Diego Astronomy Association and see if he's online, because I want to see if I can work out what's going wrong with this chat. And this is the first time I've seen this problem with chat on a live stream, so I'm not really too sure what the issue is here. I think it's probably just a setting. Actually, let me try and type something in the chat window and see if it works. Okay, so hello everyone. Okay, so my chat seems to be working at my end. So again, I will ask if anybody is able to type in the chat window. I would appreciate it just to check that the window is working. All right. Anyway, we're beginning to collect images now of the Horsehead Nebula. I'm going to go back into SharpCap. I can now start to do some adjustments. I'm going to have color balance. I am going to just pull that over there a little bit, move that down there a little bit, and I think that's not too bad. We're beginning to see that image forming quite nicely, and we're getting a nice rendition of the horsehead now. Now, what I do find, and again, one of the reasons that I would typically be using 60-second guiding, is that there is less noise. The longer the image sub, the less noise I tend to see. So I find that, you know, I've been getting some really quite nice pictures of the horsehead even in the first sub of 1 minute. So I do like these longer subs for pulling out this additional detail. And if you can do it straightforwardly, as we're kind of doing this evening, right? I think it kind of makes good sense to be doing it. Although obviously guiding's not gonna suit everybody. So you know, it is a matter of preference, but I'm fairly happy with it. Okay, right. So we've done the horsehead is beginning to form now. So I am now in on a. Whoops, here we go. In a separate window now. I'm actually going to go into the Cloudy Nights forum. And because I set the observing challenge for this month in the EAA forum. So I'm just going to go into the EAA forum and I'm going to see what targets I set. Because some of them I did right. So, okay. And I see that some people have actually started to respond to the challenge. So one of the targets I set was yes, the Reflection Nebula NGC 1788. And I have not got a decent image of that target. So I am going to now go back into SharpCap. I am going to save this image. I'm pretty happy with that. I am going to start my sequence for my next image run. I have saved my previous image. I'm going to move my CDC to NGC 1788. So that's going to start to. That did not move very far. Have I got the wrong target here? Okay, let me try that again. Okay, it's over there, sorry. Okay. Must remember to hit return. Right, so I am going to slew my scoop over to NGC 1788, which is right there. I'm going to go back into SharpCap. I've done that. It's now loading up my camera profile. I'm going to switch that bleeping sound off. It's making me wait until the mount is settled, and then it's going to do a plate solve. So the plate solve is now taking place. And I may bring my volume up just a little bit on the stream. I think it's perhaps running a little low. Yeah, let me bring that volume up just a tad more. So the plate solve has been successful. The mount moved another 0.3 of a degree, and it's asking me to, after the mandatory wait period, to go back into PhD and start the guiding. So I'm going to start looping. As soon as I got my first image, I'm going to select my stars. I'm then going to start guiding. I'm going to clear down my guide parameters, and I'm just going to watch my window here to see how my guiding starts. And you can usually get a pretty good idea fairly quickly as to whether the guiding is going to start properly or not. And you'll note that the RA axis is always better than the declination axis. There's more backlash on the declination axis, and it's not as well set up. So you will see a lot more guiding taking place on the declination axis than you will on the RA axis. But the guiding looks pretty good, so I'm going to go back into SharpCap. I've started my guiding. Okay, so I finished my sequence. It's now asking me to put my name in over here, which is NGC 1788, which I've now done. I'm going to press my live stack button, and we will start again. Okay, and our first image has already come up. You can see the reflection nebula here, NGC 1788. So I'm now going to collect probably 5 or 10 minutes of data here, because I would actually like to add this image to the NGC challenge. So let me see. Okay, so we still look good on the stream. And we're now just going to collect some live stream data for a few minutes here. And yeah, while I'm doing that, I will say look out for more live streams, either directly from myself, or I often live stream with a colleague of mine, Dave Decker, who is the outreach director for the San Diego Astronomy Association, and we're both part of the outreach special interest group. Obviously, with COVID-19 taking place this year, our outreach program has predominantly gone online, and so we developed these EAA techniques, if you like, in response to that, and we've been using those fairly successfully in recent months now to continue our virtual online star parties. And I think we'll probably be using this sort of technique on an ongoing basis as well, to supplement star parties that we would be doing directly with the public or with school children, because I think we've found that we can kind of tap into another audience. Obviously tonight's audience is fairly small. We've got about 14 people on the stream, so welcome, and thanks everybody for joining and listening along. But we've had some real success. We did a stream for the conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter a couple of weeks ago, and I think the last time I checked we'd had over 68,000 views on that. So it's really got some power if you can get the message out as to what you're doing and there's interest out there. And so we had quite a lot of success with that. We also provided recently some streaming pictures to Time and Date, who used them as part of a presentation, which attracted something in the order of a similar number of viewers, 50, 60,000 viewers, I think. I think there were about, I think there was something like over 1,000 viewers on the day, and then the rest of those have been afterwards. So we're now building up this image of NGC 1788, and again, this is not the best of images. I'm going to do a little bit of work with the histogram here and see if I can perhaps improve it a little bit. I think this particular nebula would benefit from having longer subs on it. This is probably one that would definitely benefit from 60-second subs. It would allow us to define perhaps some detail quicker. Plus, you know, this is really only the first clear evening we've had between two banks of cloud that have rolled through San Diego. So I'm guessing that the seeing is not particularly good this evening. And that may account for the image as well. Let me just zoom in a little bit so we can get a better look at this. Yeah, I got a lot of noise in here at the moment, so let me see if I can do a little bit of work with this histogram. And for some reason today my histogram's jumping around all over the place, so normally I like to bring that black. Getting a lot of noise today. My gain is in the right place. Definitely picking up a lot of saturation. Might be a little high. Don't like that. Okay, so I don't really like that. So I'm not really particularly happy with the image I'm getting here. So another way that you can process the image is you can typically band the image that you're trying to process with the dark level and the mid level like this, and then go over to the display histogram and then do some more work on the display histogram. So now I'm going to pull the dark level on the display histogram in this direction, and I'm now going to stretch in this direction back. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Still not really thrilled with this image at the moment. Yeah, I don't think it's probably the best of seeing conditions tonight. I'm really struggling to pull any sort of detail out of this at all. So it looks like we're gonna have to have a go at this again another evening, because I've already collected, let's have a look, I've already collected, let's bring that dark level, there we go, and we'll zoom back out. Yeah, I've already collected, let's have a look, 19 frames, so I'm close to 20 frames now, so that's 10 minutes of data. And really, still not seeing a huge amount here of decent detail. So we'll just give this a few more moments, although obviously it's not going to change a great deal. So actually, I think I'll just save that. It's not going to improve much. I mean, let's see what that would actually look like. Let me have a quick look online here, and just so I'm just going to take a quick look online and see what sort of images are online of NGC 1788, just to see how. Yeah, I should be able to pull more out of this than I am, and for some reason I'm not being able to pull a lot out of this one. It's obviously a pretty difficult target, and I am definitely struggling to pull a decent image out of it. Anyway, let's save that one for this evening, and perhaps we'll move on to one final target. One of the other things I was looking at in the monthly challenge was to find somewhere either in Bernard's Loop or in the Witch Head Nebula to see if I could pull some detail out of that. Now, both of those are large targets, and my field of view doesn't suit it very well. But let me see if I can find something interesting, and if I can't, we'll just perhaps finish off on the Running Man, which I know will image very well. So again, I start my sequencer. Have I saved my image? Yes. Go into CDC, select a target. Now the Witch Head, if I'm correct, is out here somewhere. But you know, I'm not gonna do that. Let's see if we can go. I know there's some galaxies out here. Let's go and take a look at a galaxy perhaps. So let's go and look at NGC 1700 and just see, rather than go for the Witch Head, because I know the Witch Head is going to be too big. Oh, actually the Witch Head is down here. I know that Witch Head is going to be way too big for my tiny field of view. So let's go and see if we can take a look at a galaxy. So commanded my mount to move. PhD guiding stopped, and it's kind of funny, sometimes PhD guiding stops itself and sometimes it doesn't, and I have to go in and manually stop it because otherwise it's just going to keep bleeping at me. So have I moved my mount? Yes. So it's now going to do it's going to start setting things up. It's going to make me wait 15 seconds and then it's going to do a plate solve. So while we're waiting for that to happen, I think my wife brought me a cup of tea, so I'm gonna take a quick swig of tea. The plate solver this time I was about 0.6 of a degree, and you will notice here when I first started this stream, I did no alignment at all. I didn't polar align. I did no form of alignment at all, either 2-star or 3-star or anything. I effectively did what on Celestron you call a quick align, which is basically jump over the alignment, because I rely entirely on plate solving to get the position of my target. So I've now plate solved. My mount has moved. It's made me wait 15 seconds. It's asked me to go into the guider. I'm going to start looping. I'm going to select my targets. I'm going to start guiding. I'm going to clear down my guide statistics. And I am going to see how guiding starts for this latest target. And believe me, I have never looked at NGC 1700, so I'm not sure how big it is. I just saw it there on the sky map. So I'm not exactly, I don't think it's a very big galaxy, but we'll see what we can see. We've started guiding okay, so I'm going to go back into SharpCap. I'm going to acknowledge the fact that the guiding has started. It's now finished the imaging sequence. It's going to ask me to type in the name, which I'm going to do. I'm going to start the live stacking. And we're on our way to collecting our next image. And it's quite cold here in San Diego tonight. We've been dropping down into the probably mid 40s during the night, and the humidity is quite high tonight. I'm surprised actually that I have not had to put the fan heater on at all, but I haven't. Well, I say the fan heater, the hairdryer. I actually have a hairdryer plugged into my uh, distribution power socket here, just in case either the guide scope or the main SCT fogs up. I don't actually run dew heaters. If I was perhaps living in Florida or somewhere else, I probably would, but I find in California it's just not worth adding the extra hardware to the OTA. We just don't really need it. The only time we really run into problems is when perhaps we pick a site that's closer to the ocean and we get the marine layer come in, or at least the marine moisture come in. So anyway, we've started our live stack. We can already see, in fact, we can see a couple of galaxies already have appeared in this image. I knew there were a couple of galaxy clusters out here. Here we've got at least 2 galaxies. There's one here. There's also one right here. So we'll just give this a few moments to collect a few exposures here. And let's have a look. Probably we've got 3. Coming up to our 4th image fairly shortly. And I often find that galaxies tend to display quite well in black and white as well, so I'm going to pull the black and white in as well. So you can see we've got at least 2 galaxies. There's one here, which looks to be some form of elliptical galaxy, or perhaps a very small spiral. We have another galaxy that is here, and I think this is probably another small galaxy as well. Let's go into the card. Okay, so let's take a quick look. So this is, yes, so we can, so this is my field of view here. And this is the galaxy that we're imaging, so NGC 1700, and we can also see NGC 1699 in the same image, so we can see 2 galaxies. We can see this one here and this one here. So that's beginning to form, that image is beginning to form. And again, you know, this is where the slightly longer image exposure would probably pay some dividends, and we're not doing that tonight, so I'm just gonna adjust that a little bit. And yeah, so as you can see, we've picked up 2 galaxies here. We can zoom in a little bit as well, see if we can. I'm not going to be able to pull up too much detail, but here is obviously one of the galaxies. Here's another one. And you can see that by reloading that camera profile, as I did at the beginning of my imaging sequence, I have indeed reset that display stretch, which I had forgot to do. So again, it does show you the benefit of doing even some things that, you know, you kind of say, well, I don't really need to do that. Reloading the camera profile is good because it actually does get you back to a known starting point each time. So that is actually a good thing to do. And you know, I can, if I wanted to just finish this image off, I can probably do it over here on the display stretch. Okay, so now you can see the galaxy here, the galaxy here. I've still got quite a bit of background noise, but that image is probably good enough for this evening. So let me just save that. And for some reason tonight, my window in this part of SharpCap has kind of disassociated itself with the window here, which is, it does sometimes. So I'm going to save that. Okay, so we've now done our 5th image, and this is where I'm going to stop imaging for this evening. I am going to show you the last sequence that I have, and then we'll call it a day on the live stream. And I must apologize for the fact that chat doesn't seem to be working, or at least something's strange. Hopefully the stream has been perfectly okay. It looks like my audio volume may be just a tad high, so I'm going to drop that down. Anyway, we have successfully demonstrated, I think, the power so far of the sequencer within SharpCap. So we're now going to just go into my final sequence, and this is my shutdown sequence. And my shutdown sequence is pretty simple. The first thing it asks is, have I finished for the night? And I will press OK. I think I finished from a SharpCap perspective, so I'll press OK. And as you can see, the next command that was issued to the by the sequencer to the mount was to park the mount. So the mount is now slewing back to its park position. It's now got to its park position, or it's just got there now. It now asks me to turn the mount off. So if I was finishing here, I would turn the mount off, and the sequence finishes. And now basically my shutdown is complete, and so I would just close down my SharpCap and so forth and so on, and finish off for the evening. And like I said, that's probably a good point to transition this evening and finish off here. I may stay outside for a little longer and do a bit of imaging, but I think from the stream perspective, we've successfully gone through the sequencer. I think you've seen there is some great potential in the sequencer for helping you to both optimize and also make sure that both optimize your workflow and also make sure that it is consistent, which I think helps greatly from the perspective of EAA. I think it's been a great addition to the SharpCap program. So before I finish, I got a couple of slides. Firstly, there was some background music playing on the live stream this evening. This is the first time I've actually used background music within a live stream. The music is all royalty-free music by a really great musician called Kevin MacLeod. If you're interested in listening to Kevin's music or using Kevin's music on a live stream, all the information you want is on the slide. I'll just bring up the volume a little bit here on the current track that I'm playing to sort of finish off the evening with Kevin's music playing in the background. So like I said, all of Kevin's music is available royalty free as long as you use attribution, which I'm doing this evening. If you don't want to use attribution, then there is a required license fee. So I appreciate Kevin's work, and great to be able to use his music to enhance the live stream. And I will finally say, as you probably know, I'm a member of the San Diego Astronomy Association. We've now been developing our live stream virtual astronomy programs now for a couple of months, and we expect this to be a regular part of our offering to the public. So please check us out at our webpage, which is sdaa.org. We've just got a new website up, and we also have a YouTube channel and a Facebook channel. So please go onto the YouTube channel and subscribe. Please go onto our Facebook page and like us. And this video will find its way onto the SDAA Astronomy Association YouTube channel, but it's actually being recorded at the moment on my own individual channel. So please take a moment to subscribe if you're interested in learning about future live streams. So with that, I will say thank you very much for listening. It's been a pleasure. I hope you've learned some valuable information about some of the new features within SharpCap, and I look forward, well, I wish you all a happy new year. Hopefully it will be happy and healthy and prosperous. And with that, I'll say good night. So good night for me, and my little daughter's already, I think, gone in and gone to bed. Hopefully you didn't mind her joining this evening, but she was pretty excited about the possibility of being on the live stream. So good night, folks, and I will look forward to talking with you again soon.